All right, MCR students, it is Friday, April 17th. I'm recording Simplifying Rational Expressions Part 2. Hopefully you guys are keeping up with your work. A lot of you are. You're doing a great job. Keep up the good work. Continue to do your attendance, please. And let's dive into this. There's some really easy ones in here, and then it progressively gets difficult like every other lesson. So let's start off with 5z to the fourth over 10z to the fifth minus 5z to the fourth. So obviously I can't simplify the top, but I can the bottom. So the top I'm just going to rewrite. On the bottom, since they have a common coefficient factor of 5, I can pull that out. And then my variable to the highest power. So I end up pulling out 5z to the fourth, and this gives me 2z minus 1. So these two will cross out. So now I've just got 1 over 2z minus 1. Let's look at a couple other types that are real simple. 2 plus x over x plus 2. Hopefully you see the commutative property is able to allow us to move this around. So that just equals 1. Or I might have 2 minus x over x minus 2. Well, this is a little bit different. I can still move this around, but I can't just cross those out. I've got a little bit of work to do. I've got to pull a negative 1 out of the top so that I end up with x minus 2 over x minus 2. So that gives us negative 1. So let's look at 3 examples so you guys can test that skill. You can pause the video at this point after I write these down. 10x cubed minus 2x squared. All right. You know what? Let me go ahead and write down 2 more, since these are pretty simple. And let's do 3 minus x over x minus 3. Okay, so hopefully you paused it, tried these yourself. Can't do anything to the top, but I can pull 2x squared out of the bottom. And I end up with 5x minus 1. Those cross out, so I've got 1 over 5x minus 1. And with this one, we're able to use commutative property to manipulate that bottom around. So we just get 1. We're able to manipulate this around. Pull that negative 1 out. So we get x minus 3 on top and bottom. Those cross out, and I get negative 1 as my answer. All right, sorry if I'm going too fast. I'm just trying to keep these videos at a manageable level. I know you guys don't want to watch a 20-minute video on simplifying rational expressions. I don't want to watch a 20-minute video on simplifying rational expressions. All right, so let's look at another one. This one's a little bit more difficult. X squared minus 2x minus 3. All right, so this drives me nuts. I want to put the x squared first, and I'm allowed to, so I do. Do you have to do that? Absolutely not. But for me, it works out better. It doesn't drive me nuts now. So the top, I can pull a negative 2 out. I'm able to factor the top and the bottom of this one. And I get x squared minus 9. Don't forget, I pulled the negative out. So this becomes positive, and this becomes negative. Now on the bottom, what 2 numbers multiply together to give me negative 3? That add up to negative 2, x plus 1, and x minus 3. So since this is a difference of squares, I can still factor this a little bit more. So what 2 numbers multiply together that are exactly the same that multiply to give me negative 9, that will add up to 0. Well, that's going to be negative 3 and positive 3. So I'm going to rewrite that down here. I've got x plus 1 over x minus 3. All right. So I can cross these out because they're exactly the same, because this is all multiplication. So I end up with negative 2 times x plus 3 over x plus 1. Hopefully I didn't go too quick on that one. Of course, I'm going to have another example here for us to do. And let me see, hopefully I have enough room to do that one. 20 minus 5x squared over x squared plus x minus 6. All right, so I've got to move this around. Like I said, you don't have to solve it. But for my brain, it doesn't hurt as bad. So obviously I can pull negative 5 out of the top. And I get x squared minus 4 over, and what two numbers multiply together to give us negative 6 that add up to 1? Well, since the middle's positive, I'm going to have positive 3 and negative 2. So this ends up being negative 5, and this is a difference of squares, so it's x plus 2 and x minus 2 over x plus 3 and x minus 2. Well, those two cross out. So my final answer is negative 5 times x plus 2 over x plus 3. This can also just be written like this with the negative right in the middle. I know I assigned that negative to that 5, but it can just be the whole thing's negative. That's how we should actually read it. Oops, let me finish my parenthesis there. All right. So let's look at one more type of problem here. And then I will cut you guys loose to be able to do your work. So if I've got 2y squared plus 2 over y cubed minus 5y squared plus y minus 5. Obviously, I'm going to be able to factor the top and the bottom. I can pull a 2 out of the top, and I get y squared plus 1. In the bottom, I'm going to have to factor by grouping. So I group these two, and obviously I can pull y squared out of this one. So I end up with y minus 5. And I can't pull anything out of this one. So I put a 1 as a placeholder and y minus 5. So I have 2 times y squared plus 1 over y squared plus 1 times y minus 5. So that means these two factors can cross out. So I end up with 2 over y minus 5. Not too bad. It's just that factor by grouping sometimes people miss. So let me give you one more example to try here. 5z squared plus 10 over z cubed minus 3z squared plus 2z minus 6. Too many z's. All right, so I can pull a 5 out of the top. So I get z squared plus 2. This one we'll have to factor by grouping. I can pull a z squared out. Probably already know where this is going. And this one I can pull a positive 2 out. And I end up with z minus 3. So that means my top stays the same at 5 times z squared plus 2 over z squared plus 2 times z minus 3. Those two cross out, and I end up with 5 over z minus 3. All right, guys, hopefully that worked out for you. If you have any questions or concerns, don't hesitate to get a hold of me on Schoology. I will be more than happy to help out. A lot of you already have reached out to me. Hopefully you see I'm able to answer pretty quickly. I hope you all have a great weekend, and I'll see you on the next video.